All right. Good morning and good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're watching from all over. We'll wait for a few more people to jump on. We're live streaming here on Zoom, and we'll be across all social channels in just a moment. How are you today, Thomas?
Very good. Very good. Happy to, we got a lot going on this week. We have our virtual meetup and marketplace going on starting tomorrow. For those of you who haven't had a chance yet to register, there are still a few seats left. I don't want to step on anybody's toes, but this is going to be the last event of its kind that we are doing. We are changing it up. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. Also, some great events coming up in Kansas City next month. Happy to see everyone out in my neck of the woods for the real estate investing, real estate education field trip, and then a big table. So we have a lot going on. And there's a little presidential election in 48 days. So some current events. Never a dull moment around here. We'll say that.
Absolutely. And again, just to reiterate, this is our last of its kind, meaning our Wednesday night, all day Thursday, Friday, sell through the weekend, and Monday. We're just going to do some edits to that and actually amplify the money making even more and more and more. It's been our goal. It is the outcome with a guarantee that you're going to make money. If you've attended, which I think a lot of you have, then you're invited to our graduate marketplace, which will be blended into the new group. So even creating a bigger marketplace and a newer marketplace at all times. So for you graduates, that will still say, I don't know if we're going to do 97 for the month, because they're going to have like 2 of them. So so 97 is really for your month. And then I know Thomas and Steve are working on a membership where as a member, you're going to continue to be getting invited to marketplaces over and over and over. And one of the things I told Damon we need to be doing when we get to Kansas, because so many of the table folks have been in this, that, you know, being in a marketplace is pretty normal now for our community, even more than it's ever been probably in the history of our community. So I think we should do a little evening marketplace one of the nights as we're doing some networking and socializing again. It's interesting because I always got to check in with a lot of your psychology is, you know, the marketplace is always open. Notice that, you know, you actually turn on your marketplace when we give you permission to do it versus you need to be always open and in a marketplace. So again, if you want to do that on some, if you want to put a link up, we have one more day. In fact, we start tomorrow at 5, and then that will be, again, the last Wednesday of its kind. Those of you that are affiliates, bring your friends, bring your peeps to it, because really important that we fill up this class and then get ready. The next one is October 1st and 2nd. It's right around the corner. So we'll be transitioning actually all of our communication about it tomorrow. So as soon as we go live, we'll be transitioning straight into the October 1 and 2. And then a couple weeks later, we'll be doing it again. And just so you all know too, even though the table is attached to the real estate tour, everybody's invited to the real estate tour. You don't have to be in the big table. You don't even have to be a coaching member. It can be something that you just want to do. It is a $997 ticket if you aren't attached to anything. If you are attached to coaching or other programs, it's only $250. So make sure that you call into our office 775. I haven't given our number out in a long time. 775, is it 588-9200? I believe. Yeah. It's a long time since I've given a number out. It's kind of odd. Like, what is our phone number here? So 9200 will get you to Molly or Jordan, and just call in and make sure you have an opportunity to get to that field trip. And, you know, we've been doing a lot of marketing and just really getting the PPM ready, getting the fund ready. We're under contract very specifically on some of the departments that have just insane equity positions for a refi later. So the value opportunity on these, we're really working through, like, what do we tell you the return is? Because it's going to be really good. It's just a great market and great, I would say, laws around the landlord market as well in the Kansas as a state, where other states don't really support landlords quite as well. So super good, exciting stuff coming up. We are now about 48 days to what I'm going to call Vote for Freedom, the November 3rd election. And let me give you a little rundown. So you like that, Thomas, don't you?
That was good.
Just, it's right down the middle of Vote for Freedom. Here's what we're going to do though, because we've got to also, we can't leave our agenda behind, which is finance, right? And money and business strategy. So we're starting to blend it with the agenda that we're going to be moving from the election. Then we start holidays and it gets really busy and you forget that you have a lot of stuff to do. So we usually start more of this in Q4. So usually in October. So we're a little bit ahead, but we want to use our broadcast to do financial infrastructure. So today I'm going to actually give a 25, 30-minute just lesson, very, very kind of succinctly in sequence of what you need to get done. So do a checklist. In fact, Thomas, we should be, as I say these, I haven't actually formally made a checklist. We should make just a cool little checklist out of today's talk.
Okay.
And then you guys keep up, meaning if it's done, put a check mark in it. And if it's not done, put a date that it's going to get done. And some of these are not negotiable. So like next week, I'm going to bring on Weldon, and we're going to talk about the tax planning you got to do by the end of the year. And there's a lot of very different tax issues, what I'm going to say, for wealthy people, because I mean, typically we're looking at gas and oil. My God, I heard today, so I was just talking to my Ryan, my marijuana partner driving, and he said that Exxon got dropped off the Dow today. I didn't even know that. Does anybody know anything about that? That's shocking.
That real quick.
Shocking. Thomas will go do a little research on that. Like, how does Exxon, right, one of like, what are they, the big 50, get dropped off the Dow? So gas and oil, though, is my point, is having one hell of a time right now, as you can imagine. And it is the deduction for the wealthy, up to 100%. So if you are not doing tax planning, it's really critical. And right behind it will be aviation and real estate. So and especially some of you, I won't name your names, but you are going to have to figure out your tax planning way in advance, because you're going to need to invest in something or do something to do some deductions and depreciation schedules against your big incomes. The next week, we're going to talk about your entities. We haven't put a huge push on that as much as we normally would since April, since we started all this, but it's time. Like you've got to get your entity done. It's got to get funded and structured. Then we're going to talk the next week about your self-directed IRAs. And then the next week, we're back to the stock market, back to Flip Wall Street. Cryptos and gold be the next week, because they are very, very, very vital and a piece of your portfolio. And then, of course, we can't leave real estate behind, because it'll be a big part of your deduction schedule and depreciation schedule on October 27th. And then we come into November 3rd for the election. Not sure what we'll do that day. Just probably walk around until you go out and vote. Don't mail in. Go walk through the doors and show your damn ID. I think we're going to do a campaign. If you don't need an ID to vote, then why do we need a driver license to drive? I mean, why don't we just let everybody do it? It's just going to be easy. So, and then we have a very tight finish line. And I know a lot of distractions will be going on. Thanksgiving comes in, which is, a big week for us, and then Christmas. So again, when the holidays land does affect your financial planning. And the government's already been shut down and so far behind. That's why I put Scott way up top, because your entity is already, some states are almost 2 months behind in being able to get your entity done. So if you don't get it done in October, the chances of you getting it in 2020 and then having it part of your 2020 tax planning is going to be a difficult agenda. So with that, let's jump into your financial infrastructure and give it a go. All right. So again, your financial infrastructure it's really the base of your entire life. So as we talk about your business plan, your cash machine, it is one of your assets inside your P&L and your balance sheet. So, and some of you get that all collapsed. Your wealth plan is the big plan, right? And a lot of you have building your wealth cycles. If you're a big table client or any kind of a client, it's in your academy, you've had it. You really need to dig in and do it. So the first thing in every financial infrastructure, your P&L and balance sheet, needs to be really that, I'm going to say, just your checkup, like where are you really on your income and where are the different sources? And now is the time, because things are going to probably stay online. I don't think that we've been doing this for over half of a year. Behaviors are changed. I think I talked to tons of my speaking friends. No one's really going to go back out. I mean, no one's really wanting to. I think everyone's enjoying not traveling as the grind for business. So so different than that, normally we would say just, focus on one cash machine and get your business going. But now you have an opportunity to really add additive revenue, direct sales companies, affiliate marketing, ideas and things like that. really, focus on what is your income today? And then what do you want it to be as we start planning for 2021? And some of you are going, oh my gosh, it's September, Laurel, like, why are we planning now? Because you always need to be planning. It takes a while to get some of this moving, usually 60, 90 days to get some really good marketing campaigns. So again, your business is one big piece. And for some of you, if you're employed, that is your cash machine. Let's be honest, it's the thing that's paying bills. What you need the business for on the side, right, as additional revenue, is the ability to take all the deductions. So for some of you and most of you that are in our community, you really have 2 P&Ls, maybe 3, maybe 4. So I'm going to speak as an example of what I say more of a starter, a beginner in our community, which would be you as an individual. Maybe you're employed, maybe you're not. So you have your individual, how much do you personally make and personally spend? What do you personally own and what do you personally owe? So, right, so it's your P&L and your balance sheet. And Thomas, if you want to put up some of these links for some of the free downloads, like those of you who have not really ever done a P&L before, we can put up just some of our standard spreadsheets and things like that. So you guys can download and, fill them in. So you really need to track what's your personal. And then the majority of you and every one of you by the end of the year should have your first entity. In most states, that's an LLC, except for a few where an S Corp is a better option given your state tax. But that is your business. You say, well, my business isn't making any money. So what you have to do is you need your personal account to fund that business account. So you start paying bills and doing all your deductions through that business account. The biggest mistake is that move right there between your person and your first company. A lot of you keep, because you've been spending out of your personal bank account for so long. And think back through, if you put auto pay on a lot of stuff, you need to move that all to your company. And again, I'm going to say it over and over and over because I do, is a lot of you keep paying out of your personal because your company isn't making enough money. So you need to fund it and you have to pay out of your business account. So again, we love coaching you through those P&L and especially the expense lines, because expense lines is where we look at deductions. A lot of you say, well, am I doing enough deductions? Show us your expenses, right? So, and show us your personal, show us your business. And a lot of you still have too much on your personal side, according to most of our tax strategists. We would move more into the business. Now, let's just say you're also a beginning investor and you have a third entity, call it real estate, and you've got some, other things going inside of that third entity, then that also has an income, an expense line, an asset and liability line. So right now it's just time to do a big checkup. Where are your income and expenses? Where's the flow through? How does it work together? And a lot of times where you get stuck and you need to come to us, because I can't generalize enough how critical it is that you spend, meaning pay your bills out of the right account, that you want that deduction, and that your income goes into the right accounts. And then for all of you, even if you have a cash machine and no job, at some point, I know our tax strategist, we'll talk to Weldon about this next week, will be saying, get yourself on payroll, because payroll gives you another huge set of tax deductions. It doesn't have to be a big payroll. That's the mistake a lot of people make. It doesn't have to be a big payroll. It just has to be enough to pay your personal bills. That's really all you should pay yourself as a W-2. You do not need to pay yourself a big income. Just because you're used to having it like that. Just wrong answer. So right now we're just going to do really an audit, and you need to get that together. I would get it together by next week, because then we're going to talk about taxes next week. And then from the tax side, then we'll talk about the entities. So there is a sequence to how we're going to take you through rebuilding and really relooking at your financial infrastructure. For some of you, this is just a check. You're just checking off the boxes and saying, yep, I got it done. And for some of you, you're going, oh God, I haven't done this for a long time, and you need to get it done. One place on the expense side that we do want to look at is, what are you doing with your credit cards? So again, in the Millionaire Maker book, page 194, depending on which version, I know it's been reprinted, and I saw it on page 164 just recently, but it's in the back of the book, but it tells you how to get out of debt Millionaire Maker style, which is very slow delay. So the goal is that you reduce your payments, and you're really it's called power down payments. You're actually paying the worst debt first, because some of you really have you're paying in the teens. So the first thing actually is to consolidate and try to get it all down, to zero, but not use a debt consolidation company. They charge a lot of fees. You can do this yourself, make enough money, and then pay it down appropriately. And then the other thing that we will teach you is you don't pay it down in front of building assets. Building assets is actually the highest priority. You make it and invest it, and then you make, and then you spend to pay down debt. You just make that reversal in your financial infrastructure, you will see in 1 year, your entire life will change. It'll be shocking. I mean, what's been fun since this COVID has started is how many people really got serious in March when we started teaching this, and they got their self-directed account. They for the self-directed, they got a flip account, and they actually started investing in stocks, and really paying attention for the first time, and started doing some digital currencies. But I know some people that went from absolutely nothing in savings to now having $5,000-$10,000 for the first time in their lives put away. Now, some of you listening, you're in a whole different category of being in hundreds of thousands or millions. But I saw that happening with entrepreneurs that found another channel to make money, and they took all of that money because they didn't need it. It was just new money, and they put it all towards new assets. So they got, one person who went from hardly any assets now has Flip Wall Street, and I don't know the exact balance. They have some digital currency, they have some gold, they have a construction loan with Tim up in the Boise market. They're coming to Kansas. They're going to put some money into apartments with Justin, and I think they're the black hole with us. So again, I mean, that's like a nice new little shopping list for this person. And it's a woman what she was able to buy by putting new income all to work, all to invest. And I think that's the biggest piece of your financial infrastructure that a lot of you struggle with. And I can say it over and over and over and over. And I want you, that's why I'm intentionally kind of teaching this today. So you'll have about a 20, 25 minute, lesson where you can just listen to it over and over. The debt is critical. You cannot be out here making new money, paying off debt. The cycle won't change for you. Your wealth cycle won't change. You've got to make it and invest it, make it, invest it. And then start that pattern for your kids. Like, I don't care if you don't have a lot. I don't care if it's $50 a month put away, $100 a month. It's the behavior of knowing that if you have the pattern now with small amounts of money, as you grow, and now it's 50,000 or 100,000, you'll be able to put away a month. I mean, that all that money goes towards new assets. And right now, shopping for new assets should be your highest priority. It is a gold mine out there. The amount of Californians exiting, it's insane. I mean, those of you that are actually out here that were in the Boise market, the neighborhood that we toured, that whole Meridian area, we are sold out, got above asking price for every one of those homes. So we are, I mean, busy would be an understatement, the amount of projects and houses we're being requested to build. And just personally, I had 3 friends that are actually in the Tahoe area on the California side. I heard we were in Boise and are actually taking trips up there to look at building custom homes with our crews. So it's not a slight move, it's a serious move. I mean, there's a lot of movement out of California, so take advantage of it. I know people that are selling their homes here in Nevada, land here in Nevada, never thought they ever would, but it's the market's crazy in a lot of places. We're just seeing it, firsthand here. So again, your financial infrastructure, get your house in order, know where your numbers are, work on your debt plan. And if you're not paid off for 2 or 3 years, it's fine. The truth is that if a lot of you continue to go to the marketplace and really understand how making money is your real answer, then at some point you're going to, you'll be able to just do, say, a weekend. Like, I just helped somebody, right? Lindsay I think she made $11,000 in the weekend at Boise. I told her, I said, go to Boise and get ready to make money. And she's like, I've never made that much money. And so it's fun for some of you to finally get it, that you can make 10, 20, 30,000 in a weekend or in a week, in a small period of time. And you're just not used to it. I mean, Thomas and I were talking to a woman in New York, right? And we told her she can go make probably 100 grand. I think we targeted her at 150,000.
Yeah.
And yeah, at 150 grand. And she's like, no way, I can't do it. But when you really talk it through, it's like, all right, that's very reasonable and you can do it. So a lot of you just aren't conditioned to make the kind of money we're talking about. My point is that there'll be some time where when you get that pattern of make it, invest it going, that you may want to take 10 or 20 grand and just get rid of your debt. But that's not till later. You got to get the pattern moving. So this is all about that flow and where the money goes. Now let's talk about banking. Where are you all banking? You need to have at least 2 banks, if not 3. And they can be anywhere from like the big financial houses. A lot of people stash cash there. Flip has a big financial house called Velix behind it, so it can act like a bank now. And a lot of people have acted like a bank and use it for that. So it's in the market, in the Flip algorithm, while you don't need your cash. And then when you do need it, it's about a 48-hour notice before they can liquidate, and then they get you your cash. So from a big standpoint, in a big financial house, that's one kind of place to put it. And then if you have, relationships with other people in other states, you're going to need some interstate banking. And then I would just go, again, local small bank for your cash machine, and, a bank that's friendly to entrepreneurs. You can call around and ask how many entrepreneurs bank there. Credit unions tend to be for employees. Now, there are a few more credit unions because of COVID that have come up. In fact, I just saw 2 here in Nevada that are targeting entrepreneurs and saying, now first-time business owners, we're actually going to have some services to support you. But typically, credit unions don't. So again, and you have to look at the FDIC limits. So again, spreading your money out. And as you get more mature, we'll talk about taking it out into other countries, which is, just to diversify. So again, your financial infrastructure is where are you banking and the flow of that money? Where are you making it? How are you spending it? And really getting clear with that pattern. I don't care if you have to draw it out, and then work with your bookkeeper and let your bookkeeper just continue to put this into play and get it more automated for you. Now, once that piece is done, you should be at least meeting once, if not twice a year, again, with the tax strategist. We'll be talking about that next week. Your entities, keeping your corporate minutes up to date. I'll give you a few tips now in preparation because Scott's really going to talk about a new entity creation. And we're also going to start bringing in some wills and trusts and bringing that back. We have some new relationships that are now national and all the way into Canada, where we can help you with wills, trusts, and insurance. What that is so critical before an end of year. And because the government backup, think about, have you ever tried to go to the DMV? We just got a new Jeep one in July, and I don't have a DMV appointment until November, is how far behind they are. So if you can imagine, every government agency is way, way, way behind. Just to get a passport, I know people who put in around March for passports are just seeing them now, like in September. So everything's in delay. Again, another reason why in September we're talking about end of the year activities. Because I would say really, and I'll just go on the record to say it, if your stuff isn't organized and together, probably right around the election, maybe mid-November, you're going to miss the year. You will. I don't see any agency. You can't even expedite. Like you can try to pay. I'm sure they'll take your money, but there's no one there that's going to receive your documents and expedite anything for you. And almost every agency, from Nexus to Global Entry, Clear, any of those that have background and security checks, they've just given you a grace year of a year to extend. Like they can't even be bothered with any of those kinds of specialty items. So we're talking about the bread and butter, the basics here for your financial infrastructure has to get done. And just knowing everything's so slow. And a lot of counties aren't even back to work. That's what's causing our marijuana project to be so slow. You can leave a message at the county agency, and maybe in 2 weeks they'll get back to you. And maybe you just go sit on their doorstep and hope somebody walks through the door one day. It's rough out there. So we really want to make sure you're paying attention and getting this on your calendar, and really everything we're talking about done as we head into November. So then you say, what I'm going to do with those 2 months? Perfect your plan. I'm never a perfection plan. Do more marketing, get way in front of your marketing. We'll be doing a lot of other things because the stuff that we would have told you to do isn't going to work. So it's just kind of over, and it's a waste of time to repeat it. Now that I'm saying it out loud, I can't even imagine us telling you get an entity in December. It's too late. It'll be over. So when you do your entity, though, a lot of you worry about your name. Don't worry about the name. In fact, I'll give you the opposite side of that lesson. I have companies that I've had for decades that have had lots of different purposes. So think of your entity as just a vehicle for moving income and expenses out of it. And don't take them down and close them unless it got contaminated for some reason and really misused. I wouldn't ever. I would just shut the bank account, keep it, get your corporate minutes all up to date. And then, like we always say, put it on the shelf and let it cool off. Just let it sit for a year or so. I have an entity that I haven't used in 2 years. I'm pulling it back off the shelf. In fact, it's one that Kevin Harrington and I used to have, and we didn't need it anymore. So I usually take them and shut the bank account, clean it up, sit it on the shelf. It just, sits there for a while. It's an open, clean company. You put a DBA on it, it becomes something else. And so a lot of you don't close those entities if they're not in use today. You're probably going to have another use for them later. So that's another cleanup. And then your corporate minutes. The way to think about your corporate minutes is go back to all of your big financial transactions. So if you got different health insurance or insurance for your companies or life insurance for yourself, if you got new vehicles, if you've got new phone services, if you bought new computers, so anything that was a bigger financial purchase. So the easiest way that and Scott will tell you to clean up your corporate minutes, it's been a while for you to do it, is go to your GL, go to your general ledger in your accounting system. You say, well, I don't have one. Well, then get one. Look back through your checkbook if you're looking old school, but look through all your expenses and anything that's like something that you should have decided as a company. Because remember, the company's not you. So then you have a meeting with yourself and you're going to vote and say, yep, I agreed to buy those computers. And then Scott will give you the resolutions to write up how to make sure that you have the right corporate minutes and corporate resolutions and documentation, as well as transfers. A lot of you are brand new corporation owners. So you had like your phone, say personally, and it needs to move. So you need some transfer resolutions to transfer, what I'd call your kind of personal assets into business assets, computers, phones, cars, really all your materials. Anybody that bought any of our coaching programs or any of our work, all deductible by your business. If you bought it personally, all that's transferable, and you want to transfer all the money in any of those expenses over for proper deductions. So lots of things to set up. I want to talk about Flip a little bit because it's about a month before we go back to that. Flip is, again, is a place for a bank, but it's also one of your easy, what I say, first investments. You don't have to be accredited. It's a place that you get safely in and out of the market with the algorithms. So a lot of people start with Flip just as a place to, put some cash until you have enough cash to do bigger investments. And number one, a lot of the investments around the community that you're going to learn about, you do need to be accredited. So those of you that are at a table, you want to make sure that that becoming accredited is an absolute goal. That's got to be, I put that on your financial bucket list. I just made that up. That's kind of funny, Thomas. We should do a whole program on your financial bucket list.
I like that.
Like something you want to aspire to. And again, being accredited is your own, it is your own signature. It is your own acknowledgement. It means you've made 200,000 in the last 2 years, or you're worth $1 million. And what that gets you is access to accredited status deals. So the marijuana deal, for example, accredited, actually, most of them are accredited. There is a law that you can take up to 32 non-accreds. So for some of you that are, close to being accredited, but not quite, we can have that conversation about, how you're doing your money rules and how you're doing some of that. Let's see what else. And your financial infrastructure. I think your money rules is a huge piece of your financial infrastructure. A lot of people wait too long for that. But if Make It Invested is going to be your pattern, and even when you're not accredited, you can put it in Flip, you can go buy some digital currencies, you can self-direct your companies, you can do construction notes or not accredited structures. Buying into different companies. You don't have to be accredited to buy different companies. Like you didn't have to be accredited to buy into the black hole. You're buying an equity position, you're buying shares straight into that company. It has nothing to do with having to be accredited the way that's being run. And so I think like you want to buy and support your local hair salon, nail salon, and keep them alive and own part of a wellness center, whatever you want to buy. Those are not accredited issues. It's when somebody's really soliciting for the capital to be raised. So my point is that Make It Invest, it's going to require you to get some money rules. And what we've seen with everyone, like the one I shared with you earlier, is the more you get clear about what you want. Like I want you to think in 2021, right? And this is a great activity. In fact, I'm going to put this out here and just keep coming back to it, is what do you want it to look like in 2021? Are you going to have one company, two company, three companies? Maybe some of you are going to have 5 by the end of 2021 because you want to buy more assets, right? If you're going to buy into, say, a fund like Justin's PPM fund, then inside the fund, you would be accredited or you'd be one of his 32, but that's going to be a different entity than if you bought real estate direct and you're going to own and have a mortgage on the real estate. You necessarily wouldn't put those in the same entity. So getting some money rules and really thinking through, what do you want next year? I mean, maybe you want to have, you bought, enough Bitcoin, you bought enough, whatever other kind of digital currencies. Maybe you wanted to run a project. Maybe you're in a few direct sales companies. So start setting some financial goals of what your revenues are going to look like Where's it going to come from? I see Jason Henderson's out here. I think I saw him a little while ago. So we're starting a new legacy company. He does very, very high level, what's called bank insurance, and also is bringing the national group of wills and trusts to the community. So super excited. He's joined the big table he joined in Boise, so not even a month ago, and now is bringing some really great opportunities to the community that is highly needed. So set some goals, having a will, having a trust, durable powers of attorney, all that stuff needs to get done. So Thomas will help. We'll come up with a checklist. We'll put it in the Millionaires in Training group, and we'll continue to work through a checklist of getting your financial infrastructure in order. What does it take? What do you need? And who's on your team? That should be a whole nother section of, what do you need to do? And then who's going to do it? Because I think, we've never actually did a handout like that, Thomas, but that I think for a lot of you will help the overwhelm kind of subside. This isn't all you. I think sometimes when you hear me talk through these huge lists of things that need to get done, you think, oh my gosh, this is me. How am I ever going to get this done and do all the marketing for all my cash machine, money you want me to make? I want you to use your team for the infrastructure. Use tax, use the tax team, use bookkeepers, use self-directed IRA people, use Randy and his team over at Flip. Soon to be using, Jason and his team for the wills, trust, and insurance. Like, use the team. That's what we're here. That's why we built it. They're experts. It's their business. It's their thing. And their job is to help guide and instruct and keep you on track. And as a whole community, we'll keep these checklists moving and keep them inside the Millionaires in Training group. So again, we're moving that to a little bit of a membership as we're moving out of 2020 into 2021. And membership has privileges. So we'll continue to be announcing those as we move along. It says, who is your trust lawyer? So here's what I'm going to say about getting a trust and wills. We'll have revocable connections across the country. And depending on your level of net worth, honestly, depends on your level of trust attorney. There are some people that do estate planning that only take people that are worth 5 million, 10 million, 20 million. So it doesn't matter who's mine. It's just mine's extremely specialized and does third-party trust and a whole bunch of variety of other things. So we're going to get you who you need, not who's just necessarily mine. So even on the list that we give you, sometimes they are mine. Like Weldon is my CFO and CPA and we're partners in a lot of things because we built our relationship that way. But some of you might have Warren, you might have Carla, you might have somebody else. The point of us showing you a lot of our team is not that you have to all move to our team, but you need to have somebody that looks, smells, and breathes and talks like our team. See, some of you have H&R Block. Like anybody who's a wealth builder heading, north of $500,000, even $250,000, you don't go there. Like that's not even where you go. Like that's for all the other people, right? That file taxes in April. Like we're filing taxes like today. September 15th is our tax day. October 15th is our tax day. So we have a very different just life. How we act, think, and make money is different. So again, those of you in the big table, we'll keep our resource lists up to date. And actually we need to update them because we have several new resources that are coming on. We have new mortgage resources, again, insurance trusts. We have a new speaker training sponsor who's super excited. He'll be with us a lot. I'm trying to see, is there any other questions in there? Credit repair for some of you. I forgot that one. I'm gonna back up a little bit. Some of you, if you have done something to your credit, it's so what, now what? But now what, you better fix it, right? So spend the time. Eileen and Deb just do a brilliant job. Deb does a lot of our funding. Eileen does most of our credit repair. Just it's very simple. I think it's $400 or $500. You're just gonna have to do it. Like you're just gonna have to suck it up and go through it. And it's tedious, but she'll send the letters and she'll do a lot of that for you to get your late pays off and to clean that up. But for some of you, if you really want to get some financial independence, you're going to need your credit score to come along with you. And you're going to have to get some new corporate credit as well. So that's kind of the pieces. So we'll put this in a nice checklist of what do you do and who should be doing it with you and for you while you continue to make money. I think what you're going to continue to get, and I think some of you have to hear it 100 times before you get it, your job is to focus on the money making and the investing, like making and investing, make an investment, and leading your team. Those are kind of your three jobs. Everybody else is around here needs to help you, and you need to start relying on other help. And you say, well, I don't trust anybody. Well, then conversations are going to help. Time's going to help. Just putting your little toe in the water, doing a little bit at a time. Notice that, we're still here. We're not going anywhere. No one's taking, your money anywhere. You're making your own financial decisions. Let me go see this. Is it better to watch this on Zoom or the Facebook site?
Here on Zoom.
Why do you say that? I'm just curious.
Better, you're going to get a better signal. You're going to get better audio quality. And there's not a 60-second lag. So you get my great sense of humor and Laurel's wit faster than everybody else.
That's good. Is there any other questions that you guys have? So this is critical. Again, we will get this out to you. We'll get a checklist right alongside of it. Mary Long says, I've created a construction business and an engineer. Long engineering. Good job, Mary. Awesome. Glad you quit your W-2s. And again, some of we need you to have your W-2s. You're helping out, a lot of places, right? Firemen, my God, do we need them now? We haven't seen a clear sky out here on the West Coast for so long. There's ashes on our vehicles when we leave our office is how bad the fires are. So no, we need firemen, we need cops, we need teachers, we need all these things. Now, all that being said, there are cash machines all around that. Like, I still think there's such a shortage of tutors. And I don't know if you're seeing that. I'm not seeing as much as I thought. I thought a lot more people would take on tutoring and supporting the amount of kids that are consistently at home. The parents don't know how to do it. They need that online tutoring. And then honestly, tutoring teachers on how the heck to teach online. So I think there's some of it going on. I just expected by now that all summer to kind of get it together and offer it. What I have seen is some new universities and some very cool for the gifted and talented, which I haven't seen that in a long time. There's an academy at the North Shore of the lake over an incline who has a very cool school for the gifted and talented. So it's a huge application, but they actually put you into college level classes as 8th and 9th graders. So they're pulling these kids up who are really, really smart and bored as hell in school. And so I have seen some very cool stuff going on. Let's see, how do you understand overwhelmed, where to start, or how to invest? So Wendy Price, so how do you go about understanding this? I would listen to this over and over and over. And again, I think our checklist will help you organize and just start, getting things and your income and expense. That's probably the easiest, fastest thing to get done. Open up a flip account. So when you do flip, I don't think a lot of you understand too, the quality of money is different. So like I personally can have a flip cash account, right? My kids can have cash accounts. Then there are Roth, right? Because your Roth's a very different kind of money. You can't commingle it. It can also have a Roth account because then all the money made in there is tax-free, tax deferred. And those of you that have a 401k, it can have a Roth account or a flip account. And it also, and same thing with all the crypto, but you can't collapse. You can't have one flip account and personally fund it, have your Roth fund it, and have your 401k fund it. Those are three different kinds of money. So you really, just keep asking questions. You say, how do I learn about it, Wendy? You just keep talking, keep asking questions, keep showing up, and keep going through the checklist. And we're going to open up now for some questions. If anyone has any questions, again.
Laura, real quick, as people go ahead and put their questions in the chat box below, we do have the election coming up. And with iFlip, and particularly what you saw, what happened in the spring, there's going to be a lot of whipsaw effect within the stock market itself over the next couple of months.
It is.
Talk a little bit about that and how iFlip can help you avoid that, but also then take advantage of that situation with uncertainty in the marketplace with what's going to be an eventful fall. We'll put it that way.
It is going to be an eventful fall. Everything's going to rock and roll for a little while. I'd say it's already started in a lot of ways. Did you find anything out there on Exxon getting dropped?
So Exxon is off the Dow. It happened on August 25th. Chevron is the last fossil fuel company or oil company on the Dow. Salesforce replaced Chevron on the Dow.
Wow. Interesting. So where did they go? To the NASDAQ?
I didn't see where they went to. I would assume so, but they are off the Dow, and Chevron's the last oil company there.
Wow. Interesting. So you're going to see more of that volatility. And it's not going to, even when the election happens, I think we all know it's not going to happen that night. It's going to be, an interesting, I'm going to say a confusing time, but the market will move. The market's already moving. Just to see a large oil being dropped off the Dow, it's shocking. And there'll be more of it. I think you're going to see more tech, but you're going to see a lot of frozen stuff going on. I've from the cryptocurrency side, I hear, that it's probably going to take another dip as well. And again, some of you, when we talked about financial infrastructure in March, when we started these, we were doing this daily for hours. You didn't shift. You still don't have your flip account. You still don't have your Roth account. You still don't have your account set up. You really need, like, it's now. I mean, just think, some of you, depending on where you live, it's a day or two before you get an appointment at a bank even to open an account. Right. So this can't be like, oh, I could just run down there tomorrow and open a bank account. No, you can't. Depending on where you are. I know areas where, I'll drive just because I can get in that day because I know them well. Again, relationships. But people who don't know people by name and can call them straight into the bank and say, hey, I got to open this account right now, you're not going to get to. The other thing that's interesting for now is if you believe the coin shortage. I don't really believe it. I think it's kind of another, BS thing because people are taking coin everywhere. But it is a time to dump it. Banks are taking it, which normally banks wouldn't take those big, those big, whatever jars of coins that you all stack up. I don't think any family that I know in the history doesn't have a big coin. You just get tired of your change, you throw it in a little bucket. So banks are taking them. Those are great to dump into your kids' accounts, by the way. If you want to have a big startup, just, normally you'd have to go roll them yourself. So take advantage of that. Also putting some cash in. Because right now getting cash into banks is very difficult. And I don't know that that's going to get any better. It's going to be interesting. Just, be nimble, be ready, have stuff open, have accounts where where you're going to put money, where you're going to take money out, know where things are. Get organized, get really organized. And again, part of the wealth cycles, we put it up. Normally we sold this originally for like $199. I think we're just going to move inventory at $47. So if you order one on our Shopify store and you want a physical product, just pay for the shipping and handling, and then we'll get you a hard copy out. Because some of you do want the workbooks, and inside of either way, you get electronically or hard copy, there's a whole area of how to get organized that's in there. Of how do you organize filing cabinets and how do you organize your financial documents? Because so many people have never been taught that, and you kind of have a paper mess. So, and then, if you're going to electronically store all this stuff, how and where should you do it that actually is safe and not going to get hacked? So all of that stuff is in some of those electronic documents. So next week,
question, Laurel, about incorporating in Nevada. Charlotte, I think, is living in Greece. And she's starting up a new business as a global marketing agency. However, she wanted to incorporate in Nevada and ask you about that.
Absolutely. So if you want to, again, call into our office. I don't know if Scott has a Calendly link. Why don't you just, you go private to a chat and get that information to either me or to Thomas, and we'll pass it on to Scott. But that's what a lot of our international folks do is they'll open up a Nevada company because you have a lot of support. Like we can go to your bank. There's a way that we have to do it. We actually have to own part of your company for a minute or two to help you get it all open here in the United States. And then those shares can be, diverted back to you, and they're non-voting. Doesn't really matter, but it helps you function. It helps when, so Weldon, who you meet next week, and Scott the next week, do that frequently for our international clients. And we got clients from all over the world who have accounts here in Nevada, in Northern Nevada with us. So absolutely. So next week, Weldon, then entities. And even if you already have them set up, our goal is to do it a little bit different and a little more, I'm going to say micro, and really go through the details in the sequence. So we also, then we can use this in the future for, how do you just set up a financial infrastructure in general? Because most people have no idea how to do it. Right. All right. And then the other thing too, Thomas, I want you to put up a link and just give everybody a great gift today for coming out is our Put More Cash in Your Pocket program that Jim and I recorded. So we recorded a 3-hour Put More Cash in Your Pocket for families and kids. Super cool new stuff. In fact, we'll be bringing it to our workshop because Jim and I just kind of narrowed down and really made up some really new, like if you had no idea how to start, how would you start? And so we have some really great startup tips, especially in the second section of it. great startup tip stuff that you have never read in any of my books before. Because it's just been a lot more experience with this COVID that has helped a lot more creativity come. So cool new stuff. So make sure you take advantage of that download. That is a free new program that will give you some replays. We're not going to keep it free forever. Jim wants to bring it to the homeschool world, and is going to help Kyle and I bring our book to the homeschool world. So for now, it's free. Give us some feedback if you like it. And we'll be back in touch. Same time next Tuesday, 12 noon Pacific.
Yep.
Thanks, you all. Have a great day. Talk to you then.